stripped away all the fantasy and made love real and immediate. I never regretted the decision to marry Stephen. His need was so great that I had to give him everything, more than I thought I was capable of. He showed me love for everything, holding his head up. It was an exchange of pure love, wordless love. I began to learn something I never knew before, which was how to experience love, how to accept it. That was, in a way, the greatest lesson of all. As I read further into Dante, I knew what was coming. I knew that at the very peak of purgatory, Virgil would leave Dante. He would say to him, "Now you must go on your own. I've taken you in this quest to the meaning of love as far as I can." And as I got there in my reading, and as I got there in my studies, Stephen declined and declined. And Stephen gave me his last kiss and said, "You're going to be better off without me. You'll be stronger and you'll survive." And he died just as I was reading the canto, where Virgil disappears. Virgil crowns Dante, says, "I make you Lord and Master of your soul." Only when he gets to paradise does Dante realize that the object of our love is always God, and that God and man together are the formula for love. That's the greatest gift of love, seeing God in another person's eyes. It's loving the world, everything that the person represents, the sun and the other stars.
We're larger than what we know, and love reminds us of that. And the other thing that love does is remind us that our boundaries don't stop with our bodies, that we are all one in some very profound, real sense. And love teaches us that. Love reminds us that. Love lures us to that and to the experience of it.
Love is a mystery because it tells me that there's more beyond that which I see in the realm of time and space. And I've got to wait till I get there to find out what, for heaven's sake, is it.
Love longs for union, even as science and technology are working in laboratories to take love apart, making what some call progress in unlocking the chemical neurological gates to the garden of love.
I don't know what we might learn were we to know more about the hormones and the serotonin inhibitors and all the rest of the stuff that we find every 10 years. We find new physiological stuff on a micro level. I don't know what that's going to do in regard to understanding the cult of Mary, or Dante's love for Beatrice, or Keats's poems, or any of the rest of it.
While molecules and chemicals may tell us nothing about love, some scientists believe that our closest animal relatives, the primates, can teach us a great deal about other forms of bonding and connection.
We don't use the word love. It's a bit of a mushy word, and we don't know how to define it. The similarity in DNA between us and bonobos and chimpanzees is 98.5%. That means that we are 1.5% in terms of DNA different from them. And I think the simplest assumption is that if a chimpanzee acts very similar to my behavior, then the psychology behind it is very similar to my psychology. Friendship we usually define as individuals who spend time together, who help each other, who groom each other, who share food together. Those we can call friends. Now, probably they also love each other to some degree. You would assume that. Two young chimpanzee females who were trying to get to my office. I think it's just a game because they will never get to my office, really. They will never get out. This is the place that they normally cannot reach, certainly not on their own. And what I like is that they seem to be in tune with each other. They seem to understand each other's goals. They have worked this out. They've probably done it many times. This is a game that they have developed. And so you see some of that being in tune with each other, which relates to empathy and relates to understanding others. A story of altruism that we had in our group actually recently. We have an old female, her name is Penny, and she is arthritic. And she basically cannot climb on the climbers anymore. And we've seen situations, which I thought was very interesting, where she's trying to get on there, her legs don't want anymore, where younger females have pushed her butt up and have pushed her up on the climber. We've also seen a case where a younger female, younger meaning 20 years old, Penny is 45 or something, where a younger female has gone to the spigot and sucked a mouthful of water, then walked to Penny and spit it in her mouth. And so that's very interesting altruistic behavior. These are unrelated individuals who are doing it, taking care of an old lady in their group. In the primates, all thinking that they do in terms of altruism and helping is focused on the group. So it's focused on the ones immediately surrounding them. I don't think they care one bit about what other groups are doing and how they're doing. And they would just as well kill them if they can to get access to resources. But within the group, they have inhibitions. And so the within group behavior and between group behavior is totally different for the primates. And I think originally for people too.
I believe that we human beings need to acknowledge that we are a part of the animal kingdom. And I think we should rejoice when we are able to see what the elements were before they were spoiled by human machinations. And in the animal kingdom, we often get a sense of what, in full development, makes us fully human.
We're part of the animal kingdom not only in our capacity to bond, but also in our capacity to hate. The same primates who care for those inside the family grouping ferociously attack outsiders. For humans, too, those outside the circle of family or tribe can too easily become the enemy. And then the passion of connection turns into the terrible love of war.
I want you to remember that no ever won war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb die for his country. Commence firing.
God help me, I do love it so. I love it more than my life.
Civilian trucks, break.
Although most believe they fight wars for love of country, author and analyst James Hillman thinks otherwise.
You run the risk of an ambush. That is
the love of war is a love in war of the men for each other. There's a love of war that draws people to go to war. And there's a beauty in war that attracts people. And that's something people don't like to talk about, but we're all fascinated by the sublime terror. Or we wouldn't be watching the explosions on TV, or we